Not all of them are illegal migrants, not all of them are foreigners. There are certain sections in the society within that group which are there, no doubt.
You definitely, more than anyone, understand that in a democracy, there has to be space for dissent.
These fact-finding missions, we have seen political parties coming here, we have seen civil societies coming here, we have seen different groups like Editors Guild coming over here. Rather than bringing peace, it has divided the state even more. You need to completely disarm all the weapons in the state.
Hello and welcome to Karma Conversations. We are here to discuss Manipur. Yes, the state that has been in the news for some time. The rest of the country, the mainland media, may have forgotten, but then on the ground, the situation still remains difficult. What will bring peace? How will people return back to resuming their lives after what has been a terrible few months? I am joined now by my friend Rajkumar Imo Singh, and before we begin this conversation, I'd just like to state that we are a part of Leaders Connect, a group of individuals from across Northeast who work on building Northeast of tomorrow. So that is the background. With that, I'd like to welcome you, BJP MLA. Thank you so much for joining us here on EastMojo. That elusive question remains. When will peace return to Manipur? How much longer will it take?
See, Karma, we need to really understand the ground situation, what is happening since the 3rd of May. You know, the conflict has gone a bit too long, for 4 long months. And we all were thinking that it is a conflict based on ethnicity, but actually the ground situation, which we all have seen. No doubt the ethnic nature is there, but we need to understand also the causes as to what has, led to these conflicts between the two communities. So one needs to understand and assess the ground scenario as how it got out to this particular point of time, how we have reached this point. So we really need to get to those issues, the issues of illegal migrants, which is happening across the state, the issues of narcotics, the issues of insurgent groups operating in the state, and obviously so many other issues along with it. So when we are able to understand these, then can the solution be brought about. This is one small issue which I'm trying to state over here right now.
Right. Let's try to look at the solutions really. And when I look at the solutions, a recent report comes to my mind. The Editors Guild of India came down to Manipur, and we both are aware that there have been many fact-finding missions. Many groups have come, including political parties, to really understand on the ground what is the situation. Now, the Editors Guild report seems to have opened a Pandora's box, made a lot of people angry. My question to you is, was the government really harsh in ordering an FIR to be filed?
First of all, let me state this. I think the FIR was filed by individuals from the state. Obviously, the state government accepted the FIR, which is quite reasonable also. I don't know whether you have read the report. I'm sure you must have read it. We all have read it. But these fact-finding missions, I feel they should be based only on facts rather than forming opinions. This is the major issue which I think we are facing right now, that those who have been coming into the state, they've been forming their own opinions, coming in for 2 days, 3 days, is not going to give a proper opinion. You have to meet all sections of the society to understand the nature of the conflict. You have to meet the government officials, what is happening, the official data needs to be done. So I guess somewhere along the line, at this point of time, the Editors Guild made that mistake of forming an opinion rather than just presenting facts. And if you see all those things which they have stated, many of them were also not correct. Not correct.
So there were factual errors, yes, but Should there be space for dialogue?
Editors Guild can obviously meet the people of the state. They can go meet anybody as per their wish, and get to the facts as to how it has happened, why it has happened, and what are the nature, how we can solve the issue, rather than getting to a point and saying that this particular group has done this. See, they formed a really this is the counter against the fact finding report of the Editors Guild of India. Now, this states every kind of counter which is there, which they have stated over here, and some major points have, really made mistakes, factual errors, which they've done. The foremost important, the picture, which they have already rectified. Later on, they say it's not a cookie house, but a government house. Then there were other factors like, the High Court order. The High Court did not order the government to, issue a notification to include the Meiteis as scheduled tribe. They just ordered to consider if what kind of an opinion could they give to the central government, whether it should be considered or not. So these kind of factual errors they made. Then again, they mentioned that the higher ups in the government and the authorities have said that all the Cookie brothers are illegal migrants and foreigners. No, not all of them are illegal migrants. Not all of them are foreigners. There are certain sections in the society within that group which are there, no doubt, and that the Home Minister has also accepted it on the floor of the House. So these factual errors, these people have made, rather than going into all those things, they should have just gone, met those groups, got their reports, and submitted those reports. I think that would have been better.
Right. Without dwelling on this for far too long, because the Supreme Court has also come in now. You are a three-time MLA. You've sat on the opposition. You've been very, very vocal. You definitely, more than anyone, understand that in a democracy there has to be space for dissent, and you should hear everybody out, isn't it? Instead of filing FIRs or acting harshly.
See, the FIR I said earlier, this has been filed by an individual, by I think two individuals, two people. They filed the FIR. So the government has only accepted the FIR. Rest, obviously, it'll all depend. The Supreme Court has also taken note of this. And see, they can state what they want. But at this point of time, coming to this place and trying to create more division rather than bring unity and peace, these fact-finding missions, we have seen political parties coming here, we have seen civil societies coming here, we have seen different groups like Editors Guild coming over here. Rather than bringing peace, it has divided the state even more. Better not to come over here and divide the state and give statements which they are not aware of, rather. They're not too aware of what is happening in the state, sitting in their drawing rooms over there and, stating is very easy rather than what is happening on the ground, understanding the real issues.
Right. Now let's get, to the topics that you and I wanted to talk about, that of building bridges now. It's a difficult time. You've always stated that it's going to take a long time for understanding to come about. How do we go about building bridges of peace now? What needs to be done first? What's the first step to this?
This is my personal view. And I think most of the legislators also understood this situation. And we also had filed a representation to the Honorable Prime Minister, to the Home Minister, to the Defense Minister also. To me, you need to completely disarm all the weapons in the state. So whether these weapons are from the insurgent groups who are operating, who are violating the ground rules of the ceasefire, or those foreign armed militias which you believe they are there running right now in our state, or all those machineries which were looted from the state police, different areas. So these all things I think we need to completely disarm. So, I would like to rather, ask you all across the whole, northeastern parts of the country and other places everywhere, how long can an ethnic conflict last? Remember just last month in Haryana, that conflict which had happened, it got over in 2-3 days' time. Normally a conflict happens and it gets over very soon. You need to understand the root causes. If you don't understand the root causes, it's going to be prolonged even more. So let us all work together to get to the root causes, which we've already submitted to the Home Minister, to the Prime Minister, and work accordingly, and then try to bring peace by building bridges across both the communities.
I mean, definitely, because that's what hurts us. Here we were, celebrating and organizing and bringing together important people from all across India for the, Leaders Connect program, the program in Imphal. Then we saw the beauty contest. And we thought that startups, it had become the hub for startups across Northeast. Across India, they were looking at Manipur for the kind of startups that young boys and girls are starting out of there. I went to Imphal and interesting cafes that opened up. From there to now, it has suddenly taken a huge dip. And you talked about disarmament. It is going to take some person to take this step. Who's going to take this step? We talk about belling the cat, but it's a tough one. How do we do it?
Manipur, we were all, thinking the last couple of years how it has progressed. I know, you were here during the Young Leaders Connect. The Femina Miss India show happened. The Tri-Nation football tournament, an international football tournament over here in the northeast part of the country, the first of its kind in Manipur. A cricket tournament held over here with former international stars like Mohammad Kaif and Amit Mishra coming in. So yeah, Manipur were really progressing. I think it was really progressing the last couple of years. Unfortunately, due to this incident, this has really gone, I think another 10-15 years, we are back, where we were there in the early 2000s. So it's going to be a humongous task to build bridges from here. And obviously, when two communities are at loggerheads at this point of time, we need to settle down. As I said, complete peace at this point of time, non-violence is very much necessary. Why? Because when you silence the barrel of the gun, then people can start thinking the positives. So that is why I said disarmament. So you need to disarm all these people, and then you get non-violence. And through that, we start political dialogues through, with these civil society organizations, with the pressure groups who are having the pulse of the people. And obviously, the central government has to play a very, very big role to ensure that there is peace in our state.
And of course, disarmament happens because disarmament is going to be the biggest challenge. Now, post-disarmament, the second issue is going to be justice, because a lot of people whose loved ones have died, there are so many people who suffered a lot of trauma because they've seen, their loved ones being killed in front of their own eyes, and it's across communities. Is the step to justice? And how do we get justice? Because the violence has been through mobs, and usually when it's mob violence, it's very, very difficult to pinpoint who did it.
It's going to be very difficult and a long drawn process too. Already the central government has initiated lots of commissions regarding this, CBI inquiries regarding this, and on top of that the Supreme Court has also formed commissions. So it's already under process, I should say. And we hope justice is given to everyone. And we are sure through the Supreme Court, through the central government, through the authorities like the CBI and other, branches, we are hopeful that justice be given to every section of the society, to every person who deserves, to get their due.
Right. The other thing is that, to start a dialogue. So you have disarmament, you start the process of justice. It started, the wheels of justice have started. How effective will it be is a big question. We will see. But dialogue, to start a dialogue, to make communities talk. And I do see some silver lining when it comes to talking, because I've heard that some of the social scientists, some professors are already starting dialogue between themselves. It's an interesting story. In fact, we started here at the EastMojo studios when two social scientists came together and said that we'll start a dialogue, we'll start a peace process. How will it start? How will you do it as a leader? How will you do it?
See, government has started already initiating these measures. It's not that they are all quiet. Obviously, I'm not a minister, so I cannot, state everything. But what I can say is the government, the state government, has always started initiating measures. We sit every 3 days with the chief minister, all the legislators, the ministers, and we discuss all these, how to move ahead. So we've already formed a committee also for the legislators, led by the Hill Area Committee chairman, and he's a Naga. So a 5-member committee is there. So these kind of talks will be informal. These are not formal talks. These are informal talks on behalf of the state government to try and break the ice, how we can move ahead, what can be discussed, and what can be addressed. Obviously, the central government, they formed the peace committee through the state government, and they are finding means and ways to initiate these kind of dialogues too. We have seen various civil society groups being called by the central government, the Union Home Ministry, from both sections. We welcome those. My only request is any such dialogues or peace process should not involve these insurgent groups at this point of time, those who have violated ground rules, mind you, those who have violated ground rules. There are certain insurgent groups which we believe who have violated ground rules, who have been, ensuring that there is no peace. So these kind of things we need to ensure. And even now, there is firing on and off. Just recently also, there was firing on the peripheral areas. So as I said earlier, complete disarmament of all kind of weapons. Karma, I would like to ask you, how long can an ethnic conflict last? It's been 4 months. And where does these arms and ammunitions come from? Who is bringing them? Who is supplying them? We need to understand all these, Otherwise, as I said, it should have been over by now. There are some people behind who are trying to, create more ruckus. We know there are people who have come across from the border, but how long we guys have to deal with this. So these things we have to understand and ensure that peace process is initiated through proper channel.
Yeah, I guess the central government agencies will have to look hard at the outside hand, which has been talked about every now and then. How deep is it, and how entrenched are they in the state? Let's talk about the other important issue, rehabilitation. We've seen many videos of you, the chief minister, walking, and there have been temporary makeshift shelters which are being made for people who've been displaced. But how long can it go on, and when can these people return to their homes, or will they never get to see their home again? Of course, they'll have to rebuild these homes which have been burned down.
We should all be praying together. We should all be working together. The central government, the state government, the people of all communities in our state together, and ensure that every person who was displaced gets back to their original place before the conflict. This should be our aim. This should be our agenda. And only then can we progress together. State government has already constructed these prefabricated houses, and some of them have also, they've shifted. And these are temporary shelter homes, mind you. These are temporary. The state government has also initiated measures to start constructing the houses which were destroyed during the conflict, at least to those places where they feel the people can go back and feel safe and return back to their place. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but these kind of initiation have already started.
Right. And finally, one question that I wanted to ask you, material things like houses and all can be rebuilt, compensation can be given. But there is a other big challenge of mental health. People have gone through so much trauma. How does a government like yours address this?
This is going to be the biggest task, I think. Out of all these, the physical means and the infrastructures and the constructions, I think, are more easier than the mental health, to deal with these issues, especially for the young kids who are growing up, seeing their houses set on fire, seeing their near ones, the dear ones getting injured or killed. These things are going to take a lot of time. I think we have to. That's why I said we should ensure that there is complete non-violence in the state. When you stop hearing the sound of the gun, the arms and the ammunition, then people will start thinking positively We have to ensure these people are given the right kind of psychiatrist, support, the right kind of financial support, the right kind of emotional support, and ensure that they're resettled at their places. They're able to go back to their own villages or towns. They're able to study. They're able to work. And I'm sure over due course of time, things will improve.
Right. And have you started talking to your, Kuki counterparts, the MLAs? Has there been a dialogue with them from your side personally?
Uh, I said that earlier. The Hill Area Committee chairman leads the group, and this
Right.
is an informal group, right? There are 5 people in the group, and they are talking to them informally. They've also met them informally. It's nothing like a formal channel, trying to break the ice and then diffuse the situation and ensure that we all can work things out and move towards positivity. The difficult part is, for us, it's easier said than done, sitting over here. Those people who are in the peripheral areas, I think major care needs to be given to them, because from both sides, it's the hardest thing, which you were just saying, the mental health, the physical support, the financial support. So we should be ensuring as a government, both state and the central, to work together and ensure peace returns in the state.
I think the centre needs to play a huge role. Your final comments on that, to peace to finally return. And the question you asked me, how long does an ethnic conflict take to end? And even in countries like even in countries, African countries, you've seen ethnic strife go on for years and years. So unless positive and strong steps are taken, it is certainly going to be very difficult. And my final question to you is, what does the government of India do in a situation like this? How strong will their backing be?
See, government of India has already accepted certain things. You saw the Home Minister speaking on the floor of the House why it has happened. The issues of illegal migrants, which is prevailing in the state. The issue of narcotics, a change in demography happening because of these people coming in. So all these things, the government of India has accepted what the state government has been saying, that there are issues which need to be solved. Because these things, if you're not able to understand, we can never solve. 2 plus 2 is 4. If you don't understand those 2 and 2, 4 will never come. So we need a solution through these issues. We need to understand the core issue. That's why when I said so many people coming in, whether it's politicians or groups or journalists, they should be able to digest the issue in the state. So many groups, the opposition parties also came over here. They have not been able to bring peace. Yes, they were able to bring or rather focus the issue in the parliament. But then again, there also they did not discuss the main issue, why it has happened. Only the Home Minister mentioned over there the core issues. Somewhere something is missing with these people coming into the state. Until unless we are able to identify or understand those issues, we can never solve it.
Right. With that, I'm afraid we've completely run out of it. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on EastMojo. We certainly hope that peace returns to Manipur and the state can be back on the growth path that it had set out before.